Welcome, everybody. We're going to get started now. Um, it's an absolute pleasure to welcome you all today. And if those of you who are able to take your seats are able to do that, that would be wonderful. Thank you. Wonderful. So welcome, everybody, to this event called Resilience Rooted in Tradition, Integrating Indigenous and Local Knowledge for Adaptation and Loss and Damage. I'm delighted to welcome today and acknowledge the co-hosts of this event, the Government of Vanuatu, Fauna and Flora, IIED, Fundación Avina, and the Huairou Commission. And also extend our grateful thanks to the Resilience Hub for hosting this event and for the wonderful logistics and support. So my name is Zoe Quiros-Cullen. I'm the Director of Climate and Nature Linkages at Fauna and Flora. We have the pleasure of hosting our program on climate adaptation and work on locally led and ecosystem-based approaches. Today we're going to be talking about the importance of incorporating Indigenous and local wisdom in decision-making on climate change and loss and damage through voices from the Global South. We'll be bringing different perspectives on knowledge and how these are integrated into policy and brought to the decision-making table, and also how to evaluate the effectiveness of this in terms of locally led and ecosystem-based approaches to adaptation, and also in the context of loss and damage. I'd like to acknowledge that there are many local voices who are, of course, not in the room today. So we will be running a video quietly behind the scenes so that you can see some images of the people and places that we're working with and are taking the honor of representing today. We also have, I'm delighted to say, a graphic artist who's joining us online, who is going to be creating some animated artwork to illustrate some of the key and important topics that we're discussing today, and we'll be revisiting and hearing from her some of her work towards the end of the session. And now it's really for me to introduce our esteemed moderator for the session today, Stephanie Stevens. She works for the FAO of the United Nations, the Food and Agriculture Organization, and she's the National Project Coordinator of the Capacity Building Initiative for Transparency project in Vanuatu. She also supports the Vanuatu Climate Action Network. She's a climate change advisor to a youth-led organization called Learn to Save Vanuatu. She is the chair lady of the Pacific Climate Action Network and co-author of a 2022 policy brief on human rights and climate change in Vanuatu. I can't think of a better qualified person to be moderating our session today. Thank you very much, Stephanie.
Thank you so much, Zoe, and hello to everyone. Welcome. Good afternoon. So we'll start with our speakers. I'll invite our speakers to come up front and sit at the chairs. When I call your name, please. Sorry, English is my third language, so I'll just pronounce, I think, the name not right, but forgive me. So we have, from our speakers represented here today, we have Tinada Youth Action Africa, Matilda Benmue. If you're here, you could take a seat up front. We have Tunda Badra Rai, Director of Climate Program, Nepal Federation of Indigenous Nationalities. Thank you so much, sir. Huairou Commission, Violet Shivutsi, Chair Huairou Commission Governing Council, founder of Shibwe Community Health Workers in Kenya. We have Bibata Bari Pilbre, Association Repair Burkina Faso. We have Dija Chari, Gender Officer, Association of Fulani Women and Indigenous People of Chad. And lastly, we have Shazali Orela, Ohorela, Bridging Indigenous Right and Diplomacy. Oh, so it's okay, all good. Okay, so our session will be an interactive session. So the objective of the panel here is to explore diverse perspective on local and indigenous knowledge, to explore approaches to integrate different knowledge type in decision making, to offer good practices and tools to assess the effectiveness of climate finance and project delivery in relation to the LLA principle, ecosystem-based adaptation, as well as responding to loss and damage. And lastly, to offer insight on how indigenous and local knowledge can be better leveraged in existing international architecture on adaptation and loss and damage for more effective locally led action. So to start off, we will be, there's a set of questions that we will have on the screen, and please feel free to just talk to each other, the one sitting next to you, and discuss about the question. So we will have an open floor for 10 minutes for you to discuss and then report back and then share your thoughts on the question that we will have it on the screen. Oh, before we go to the to this part of discussion, we would like to have all of our panelists just to say an introduction about themselves and the work that they do to us. Thank you so much. We can start.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? Yeah, thank you. Namaste, everyone. My name is Dungarai. Rai Indigenous Nation from Nepal, from the mountains of the country, and I'm the Climate Program Director of our organizations called Nepal Federation of Indigenous Nationalities. So the overall objectives and the work of our organization is to safeguard the rights of indigenous peoples in all matters that's related with us. So that's it in terms of our work. But also I'm part of International Indigenous Peoples Forum on Climate Change here. We work as a caucus at the global level, and also we have a lot of our awareness raising and also capacity building, livelihood programs, and a lot of different programming stream in the community. So basically, we are kind of interface between communities and also between communities and the international discourses on climate change and other matters related with indigenous peoples. Thank you.
My name is Violet Shibutse. I am the director and founder of a local community-based organization from the western region of Kenya called Shibuye Community Health Workers. We work on building resilient communities and climate change. We are members of the global movement of Wairu Commission, and through this movement, we have been supporting to bring grassroots women together in a critical mass to share the knowledge that they create from their own struggles and be able to enhance replication, but also use this knowledge to position them with government entities and build partnership that help them in scaling and strengthening the practices. Thank you.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Biba Tabari, je suis de la communauté pastorale Peul du Burkina Faso. Je suis la présidente de l'association Repart. L'association Repart s'investit dans l'accès à l'éducation des jeunes filles et à la santé des jeunes filles et des femmes. Nous travaillons également depuis quelques années à aider les femmes à avoir accès à des revenus en leur offrant des formations pour l'autonomisation. Voilà.
Je veux traduire rapidement. Bonjour, je m'appelle Barry Pirprebibata. Je fais partie de l'association DEPAL. Et on travaille, we work on access to education for women and young girls, and for the last few years, we've also been working with women to access revenues. And education, very important.
Bonjour, moi c'est DJ Char Djibrilla. Je suis du Tchad, je suis de la communauté Pelmbororo nomade et semi-nomade du Tchad, au sein de l'association des femmes Pel et peuples autochtones du Tchad. Je suis la responsable genre au sein de l'association et mon rôle là-bas c'est pour essayer de faire la sensibilisation et la formation de femmes autochtones afin qu'elles puissent vraiment occuper une place dans le poste de prise de décision au sein de la communauté. Et au sein de l'association, en plus de ça, je fais un peu la santé et j'accompagne les femmes pour bénéficier des premiers soins. Et surtout pour les enfants aussi. Le fait que dans le couloir de transhumance, on n'a pas de centre de santé, on n'a pas des écoles pour les enfants. Voilà un peu en quelque sorte ce qu'on a.
Hi everybody, my name is Dija Chari Djibrilla. I'm from the Association des Femmes Peul et Peuples Autochtones. So I'm from Chad. I'm from the local and indigenous people from Chad. I'm a part of the Nomadic Community Association, and I'm responsible for gender in our organization. I work on sensibilization and training for women around decision making. We work also on health and education, notably with kids and women, because there is very few, actually no health dispensaries or school in the nomadic corridor in the Sahel.
Thank you. Thank you so much for everyone to this short brief and presentation on the good work that you're doing. So now, without further ado, we will go to the sets of questions, and I invite everyone to just talk to the person sitting next to you just to discuss about the question. So it will be 10 minutes open floor. I invite everyone to participate so that everyone can share our thoughts and perspective on around the questions that will be on the screen. So if you could just talk to the person next to you, introduce yourself, and then go about to have these questions that are on the screen. So the first question will be, what does knowledge means for you? What does integrating different knowledge types in decision making means for you? And failure and success cases. So just 10 minutes if we can discuss, and then we'll be back with 10 minutes, and then we'll open the floor to share our thoughts. It's a different panel, I know, I understand, but yeah, I need everyone to. Thank you. And for those who are joining us online, we encourage you to take a pen and paper and join with us with written reflections. Thank you. think you should go now.
A partnership that is focusing on, for example, media or society that has more capacity.
Le problème là, nous, l'autre.
Okay. So,
Media or how this knowledge has
so everyone,
and
thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for this session of discussion. I think that we need to report back now. Just giving some time for everyone to just take their seat for the open discussion now. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone, for this participating in this short 10-minute discussion. We will get back for the open floor. I would like to invite Ellen to take the chair next to Mr. We will hear about Ellen reflection after our discussion, after our open floor. So thank you so much, Ellen. Could you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Greetings to you all. I am Helene Lindmark. I come from the north of Sweden. I come from the Sami people and 3 other minority people that borders through Sweden, Finland and Russia. So I am here with my Wisdom Keeper delegation, and today I'm going to reflect on what is really knowledge and how can we integrate it in this world we are living now.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ellen, for this introduction. Now I will go around with the mic, and I believe you've been sitting in groups and talking and discussing about those 3 important questions. So I'll just go around with the mic, and then you can share your thoughts on whichever question that we will have. So I'll just share the mic with 4 persons to give their thoughts, and then we'll have Ellen share her reflections with us. Thank you.
Oh. Can you? Yes, you can hear me. Is it still? You're right. Yeah. All right. I'm afraid now to talk now. Yeah, thank you so much. And what it comes. Can you hear me? Because it comes in and out, right?
No, it's totally fine.
Oh, okay. All right. So what knowledge for me is something that is actually.
speak this way.
All right. So.
Yes.
All right. Perfect. Yeah. So okay. Perfect. So what knowledge means for me is, well, I'm Indigenous. I'm from Maluku. If you don't know where it is, I don't blame you. And the knowledge of Indigenous peoples particularly is something that should be understood as not just like a recipe, as something that you write down and you hand it out to everyone else to make something out of it with their own ingredients. It is much more like that. It is something that is our way of life. It's part of who we are. It's part of identity and culture. But more importantly, it is not something that is within ourselves. It is actually a connection with the land underneath us, or territory underneath us, and also with the spirit world, ancestors, however we want to call it. So it's a holistic embodiment of knowledge or information or whatever you want to call it. So in my view, that is what knowledge is. It is what actually is everything. It's like, it's as clear to me as the air that I breathe. So that is what it is for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for answering the first question. Does anyone want to go with the second one or give reflection on the 3 question or 1?
Okay, can you hear me? All right. So my name is Abdul Baki Ahmad, and I'm from Nigeria. I'm actually like a brother to these 2 sisters of mine. So I'm also indigenous. Just like a brief, something about what does knowledge mean for me. I feel like so many times when we're talking about knowledge, we are focusing more on the intellectual dimension of it. And I was talking to a friend in the morning here. We were talking about the West and Africa, for example. So many times when we talk about knowledge, we talk about, what Africa can learn, from the West, for example. But there are so many things, the West can learn from Africa. We're talking about, she's residing in Germany, actually, but she's originally from Colombia. And she said, like, she'd go, for months without people saying hi. It's so, like, an isolated, society and things of that very kind. So, as I said, when we talk about knowledge, I feel like seeing beyond the intellectual dimension of it is actually very, very important, the social, aspect of it. And for that very dimension, there is a lot, that can be learned, from the global south, for example, by the global north. Now, what does integrating different knowledge types in decision-making mean for you? I mean, from what I said, it is very key and important that so many times when we're talking about knowledge, and decision-making, we go beyond the intellectual, right? We go beyond the material development, we're talking about the material growth we're talking about. And for me, I think this is very, very key and important, because when you do not integrate, those together, you'll be moving forward from one dimension, but then you might be actually sliding back from the other. So this is very, very key for me, and yeah, that's my thought.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. I have may I have 2 other guests speaking? If you want to go ahead.
Allô? Allô? Vous m'entendez? Alors donc je prends la parole à la suite de mon frère Peul du Nigeria. Juste pour souligner que je suis Peul comme lui. Chez nous, nous sommes un peuple transfrontalier. On n'a pas de frontières. Un Peul du Nigeria, elle est du Tchad. Moi, je suis du Burkina Faso. Mais on s'entend. On a un langage. Quand on se vit tout de suite, on sait que c'est quelqu'un de nôtre. Et on n'a pas souvent besoin de parler. On se comprend par les gestes. Pour nous, le savoir, comme il le disait tout à l'heure, c'est l'identité, c'est nos traditions, c'est nos coutumes. Au sein de ma communauté, on a un joli terme là pour dire tout ça, on dit les poulakou. Pour nous, les poulakou, c'est le savoir-vivre, c'est le savoir-être, c'est comment interagir avec quelqu'un, même si vous ne parlez pas la même langue, comment te comporter quand tu es face à un étranger. Il faut observer la personne. Avant de l'approcher, on n'approche pas quelqu'un brutalement. Et après, on établit une connexion. Et à partir de ce moment-là, on peut communiquer pour nous comprendre. Donc, pour nous, la connaissance, c'est tout ça. C'est l'identité, c'est les traditions des gens, c'est respecter ces personnes-là, l'environnement dans lequel ces personnes vivent. Parce que pour nous, l'environnement, c'est très important. Nous vivons dans la nature. Donc, chaque chose chez nous, c'est un objet de curiosité dans l'environnement. J'arrive, je vois, ça m'interpelle. Ce n'est pas juste un objet décoratif pour moi. C'est quelque chose, c'est un élément de la nature. C'est fait à base de quoi? Ça ressemble à quoi chez moi? Qu'est-ce que ça peut ça peut m'apporter, qu'est-ce que ça peut m'apprendre. Est-ce que c'est une fibre, est-ce que c'est une paille? Pour vous dire que tout, absolument tout dans la nature chez nous, ça a une signification, ça a une leçon à nous donner. Donc pour nous, c'est ça la connaissance. Maintenant, si je peux continuer, comment est-ce que toutes ces connaissances-là, Oh, pardon. Il faut qu'elle traduise. Excusez-moi.
I'll translate the first part. So I'm taking the mic right after my Pearl brother from Nigeria, because we are from the same indigenous community, and like it's actually a point I want to make. Between the Pearl community, we don't have borders between, like, I'm from Burkina Faso, my colleague next to me is from Chad, and my brother is from Nigeria. We understand each other, we have a language in common, and even if we don't, we actually understand each other by how we move and how we exchange in our body language. And that's important, that's what our knowledge is identity, is tradition, is culture. Including the fact that, like, we have a word in Pearl. Could you repeat the word in Pearl?
Pulaku.
Which is the know-how live and know-how be, including two people you don't know, how to interact with people that are not necessarily from your culture. You're just not just going to, like, go straight into their face and start talking to them. You maybe start looking at them, see how they interact, and then you establish a connection with them. And that's knowledge. That's part of, and knowledge is also my identity, is part of the tradition, is like, and the environment for us is also knowledge. We are like nature-based community, we are nomadic, and everything is related to nature. It's extremely important to us. When I see this rug here, I don't just see an object. I see something that is made out of nature. I see what I can learn from it. Where is it coming from? What is it made of? What is the know-how of how to do this?
Merci. Comme j'ai beaucoup parlé, je vais être très brève. Donc, maintenant, pour venir, quelqu'un qui vient vers nous, pour apprendre ou pour nous apporter quelque chose, pour nous assister, il est important que cette personne, pour nous, il est important que la personne respecte aussi ce que nous on veut. On ne veut pas seulement quelqu'un qui vient, qui nous apporte quelque chose ou qui dit, bon, on vient t'aider, on te plante des arbres, on va t'aider à planter les arbres pour lutter contre la désertification, par exemple. Je prends un exemple comme ça. Il faut nous demander, est-ce que ça va te convenir. Cet arbre-là, voilà le type d'arbre que c'est, voilà ce que ça va t'apporter. Est-ce que ça vous convient? Donc, on aimerait être consulté, qu'on discute avec nous, qu'on ne vienne pas juste décider pour nous, mais qu'on demande quels sont, nous, nos besoins et nos priorités. Je vais arrêter là parce que j'ai beaucoup parlé.
I will be brief because I've already talked a lot. But about knowledge is like when somebody comes to us and offers to help us, it's important that he actually also respects us and our knowledge. Like yes, you come and you say, oh, we're going to plant tree to help against deforestation in the Sahel. Great, but you should also make sure to consult what variety of trees are we talking about. It is really, really important.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So we can have Ellen share her reflection and then pass it on the mic to the other panelists that to share short thoughts. I just give 2 minutes, sorry, just to be brief, and then we can go ahead. Thank you.
Yes, knowledge is something that is beyond the words. That is our genetic, that is flowing in the water, it's in the mountains, in the land where we come from. And knowledge is something that we have, is a genetic, is a structure that we are born with. And sometimes it's lost and needs to be found. But what is important is, when I want to talk about this integration, I think it's really important to implement and integrate knowledge and this decision-making in policy situations, because everything is energy. So it's about implement that energy of knowledge in these spaces and embody it and creating an understanding and find new dialogues to how to bridge this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. For me, knowledge is our worldviews and the belief we believe in. So I would say knowledge is our festivals, our everyday life, our songs, dance, our land and environment as a whole, because that's where our knowledge exists. That's how we transfer our knowledge and we share our knowledge. When we do our ceremonies, when we celebrate our festival, this is the time we transfer and we share our knowledge. When we do anything in everyday life, this is the way of transferring knowledge and exercising our knowledge. So, what is knowledge? Is the way we believe in, the thing we believe in, and the experience we gain from generation to generation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. For us grassroots women, knowledge is what we generate based on the struggles that we are going through. At times, this is something we learn from innovations that is done by one person. It could also be an idea that has been there but hasn't been tapped for a long time, being forgotten, as the Helen said. But then we have seen it happening with our grandmothers. It was seasonal, like maybe during drought times. It was maybe during harvest times, things they used to do, and then they haven't been happening. And when we have repercussions on things going wrong, then we start reviving this knowledge, sharing or generating, and sharing among ourselves through groups or through, as my neighbor just said, through celebrations, things that are really we work on in common. So this is something that is shared. And I will even go further to say that what does this mean in integrating knowledge in decision making? It also means that we create partnership that enables other people to learn about this knowledge, and there is an enabling environment that is a will to learn and adopt this knowledge and recognize the knowledge holders, often who are the grassroots women, the indigenous women that have generated this knowledge, and bringing them on the table to shape how the knowledge is happening, to provide guidelines and support in replicating this knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We can have the insight of.
Alors, merci beaucoup. Je pense à mes collègues et mes frères ont beaucoup dit, mais je vais ajouter quand même quelque chose. Selon moi, les connaissances traditionnelles, comme les autres ont dit, c'est notre identité. Et je peux dire que c'est quelque chose qu'on est vraiment lié à ça. Et l'important, c'est tout se passe en langue. Par exemple, on a les connaissances traditionnelles, par exemple, qui se passent en langue. Si je prends un exemple de Peul, par exemple, on ne peut pas passer ces messages en français ou en anglais. Tout ça se passe en langue locale. Et comment ça se passe? Comment on peut transmettre ça aux générations et en génération? C'est-à-dire, autour de feu, peut-être la nuit, on peut rester autour de feu avec des sages, avec des vieillards, en train de raconter. Donc c'est comme ça que les transmissions, ça se passe de génération en génération. Et pour dire, la personne qui ne comprend pas la langue autochtone ne peut pas vraiment avoir ça. Et il y a d'autres connaissances culturelles qui se passent aussi au sein de la communauté. Par exemple, chez moi, quand tu n'es pas vraiment intéressé ou bien quand tu n'es pas proche de grandes personnes ou bien ceux qui détiennent des connaissances-là ne peuvent pas te transmettre comme ça parce qu'ils veulent le sécuriser. Comme les autres ont dit, on peut donner ça aux gens. Oui, bien sûr, on peut le donner, mais qu'est-ce que nous, on peut aussi bénéficier si on le donne aux autres? C'est ça aussi le problème. Et là, le succès, comme j'ai déjà dit, c'est le fait de connaître la langue. Ça, c'est le succès. Et la deuxième question, c'est pour nous, l'exemple qu'on a eu à faire au Tchad, c'est-à-dire nous voulons mettre les connaissances scientifiques et les connaissances des peuples autochtones ensemble par rapport aux météorologues et autres. Un peuple autochtone, lui, il peut regarder la nature, il peut lever la tête comme ça, voir des nuages et autres. Il peut te dire, d'ici telle heure, il va pleuvoir. Mais par exemple, chez nous, en Afrique, tu peux prendre la météo, tu vois, mais tu peux tâtonner. Ils vont te dire, il va pleuvoir, mais tu vas rester toute la journée, mais il ne pleut pas. Donc on a vu pour les peuples autochtones, c'est exact, c'est à 100%, et le résultat est vraiment fiable. Et la deuxième des choses, vraiment, il faut qu'on tienne compte de ces connaissances-là. C'est lequel qui les donne de plus, c'est les femmes. Parce que c'est les femmes qui enseignent les enfants leur langue maternelle. Donc il faut vraiment prendre en compte cet aspect. Merci beaucoup.
My colleagues have already said a lot, but I would like to add a little bit. So, traditional knowledge for us is identity, and we are linked to it. We are intrinsically to it. Traditional knowledge is amongst one of the very important points is language. Language is important. Some of our traditional knowledge cannot be shared in English or in French or any global language. It has to be in Pearl. And that's the only way. And it's also very often oral. We will sit at the fireside in the evening with our grandparents and we'll share the stories. If you're not close to your community members, you might not even get that knowledge. It's also you doing it. Knowledge, like the language, is really an important key to it. I would like to make an additional point around knowledge, around how sometimes we want to link indigenous knowledge and scientific knowledge. By example, weather forecast. And like we as Pearl, we can look at the sky and the clouds and tell you at this time it will rain, and it rains. But if you look the weather forecast, it will tell you, well, it will rain today, and you could wait the whole day looking at the sky and it won't rain. So, that's important. Like, we know those things. I tell you it will rain. And finally, I also think it's extremely important to say that women hold a lot of knowledge because often women are the one teaching their mother tongues to children.
Thank you. Thank you so much for all the insightful reflections and very important thoughts on what knowledge is, not only intellectual, but our ways of life. That's knowledge as well in our own community, the indigenous people, how we live and how we practice every day. For example, our colleague has mentioned agriculture or saying how the weather by looking at something. So this is where knowledge lies. And also how we integrate it into decision making. It's also good that we have everybody sitting at the table and sharing their thoughts and showing approach, and we can learn from each other and we can be part of the decision making. So now I'll invite Mr. Ghazali Ohorela to come and give us short thoughts on Nasa. Thank you. Sorry.
All right. I'm super sorry for speaking for the second time, because there's many people here that have so much knowledge here as well to share, and obviously like the panel, my relations, what they shared is just the tip of the iceberg of what is not only can be shared in these spaces, but actually should be shared in these spaces and should be informing the decision-making process that are being made over here at COP. So I'll try to encapsulate as much as possible within a couple of minutes. Like some of the main takeaways, but in no way should that be limiting you of just walking away and it's all right. Pick something up and put it into my notebook and then go home. Please do interact with these people and with each other as well. I think that the 10-minute interaction that you did in the beginning is very good. That's how you share knowledge. And I think that's how our panel did here today. Just let's start with the current status quo, the current how, particularly the knowledge of indigenous people, the traditional knowledge is being perceived. And there's like 3 phases, actually. You have the decision that is being made, and then let's see how we can integrate knowledge of the traditional knowledge. And then, oh yeah, by the way, there are people actually that are living on that land. We need to deal with them as well. And that has actually caused all these problems. That is why these people that are here on the panel, why they're here at COP, why they're trying to influence the decision making. So instead of like trying to address like the symptoms of the problem, let's try to address the roots of the problem, the root cause of it. And listening to this panel, you can actually also see like there's a transition that needs to be made. Why don't we start with the people first? If you want to solve a problem, you go to the people. You go to the people that have that knowledge. And then you co-design the decision. You ask for their free, prior, and informed consent. So instead of them being on the menu, you put them at the table. That is what you want to do. And then with them at the table, you come to the decision, and then you can actually fully tap into the knowledge that can be provided or transferred, as some of people have talked about. But the key message that was being shared here is that knowledge is not transferred, it's shared. Spaces are being shared. Land is being shared. Feelings, emotions are being shared. It's not a transfer. It's not like I give you something, it is now your possession. No. Listening to this panel, and probably also to yourselves, it is more about I share something with you, and with that comes something from me to you. So we all have ownership in towards what is being discussed as a collective collection. That is what knowledge is. Pause? Oh, let's slow down. What do I have to do? Okay. Oh, right there, yeah. Sorry. I was actually wrapping up anyway. Something actually that's my brother and sisters also said is that traditional knowledge is not old, rusty, and dusty. It is not anecdotal. It is in continuous development, and it's even sophisticated. When we talk about the weather, that example. So it is very important to not see the knowledge or traditional knowledge as something that's an afterthought. But also, you should not disengage it from the people. The knowledge is within the people, particularly the knowledge of indigenous peoples or traditional knowledge. So those are some of the things that are very important to note when it comes to integrating the knowledge in decision making, particularly traditional knowledge, because you're not integrating traditional knowledge, you're integrating people, experiences, and a very deep connection to solutions that can bring solutions to the problems that we have. So that is my attempt to capture everything in a few minutes, but definitely that's in no way does justice to what these people have shared just now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ghazali. So now we are going to present, we're going to see a reflection on graphic arts that our online So while we were talking and while we were discussing, this is what the graphic, the drawer online drew for us. So sorry that you cannot. So again, thank you so much, everyone, for participating in this panel, the side event, and thank you for all the organizers, and thank you everyone for participating, and also thank you for listening and having our reflection and shared thoughts of our distinguished panelists sitting in front. Thank you, everyone.